Okay. So what we got in the lesson 5 is patterning. We'll try to create some linear patterns. We'll try to create some circular patterns. See, one thing is very clear, that we'll always end up in modeling some sort of redundancy factor. That redundancy might include a simple feature, also will include your common fillets. Can you cut that off, please? Some voice is coming on the computer. Whose computer's voice is coming? Volume, please. Volume, can you just remove? So using a geometry pattern, we'll also do some mirror patterns. So what we got is a feature with add-ins like fillets, chamfers or anything, or draft. So a couple of features including, it's quite redundant in the modeling, then we use the patterns. We can also create a pattern on the top of a pattern, or we can just use the pattern seed. We'll also do the patterns by a sketch. Sometimes this is quite useful if it is a profile, a surface profile. Then we use that surface profile, draw the sketch, and we can include some points, and later we can add a pattern. Say for example that surface profile as a holes. Okay. Then I'll give you some idea on what is a fully defining sketch. How do you fully define a sketch? Then also I'll go through the reference geometry, especially with the axis. You will be needing it when you're doing your dice example. Okay. Right. So this looks like a slaughter, which commonly used in the assembly of computers, say for example. Okay. Maybe it's a simple air vent. So this particular feature, the whole slot, whatever been, one is on the corners. Okay. So what we can do is, if this particular cut is imitating on the plate, we could simply create patterns. See, the pattern could be drawn in the sketch as well. If you go into a sketch, say for example sketch here, insert sketch, this is my sketch, I can create a linear and a circular sketch pattern here. Sketches will be limited. Within a sketch it is limited. You will be only having a option for linear sketch pattern and a circular sketch pattern. So in this case I can go and make it a linear along the axis. I can represent the axis, x-axis, y-axis is given. So before I do that, I need to change this one to. So if I do my sketch, what I'm doing is I'm doing a linear pattern, and in this case entities to pattern, it is I can simply select this, or I can simply select it from here. So I selected the patterns. I can increase the distances and increase the direction change here, and as soon as I increase the distance, patterns are up. But it's a sketch. This is a sketch. Okay. Then you have to use this sketch to do a cut. But we can rather than a sketch, we can do feature pattern. So once you want to do a pattern, exit the sketch completely and go into features and create. Case. So go into features, linear. sorry, check the linear. Then what you need to select is, you can select the features directly from the tree on the model space, or you can also use faces to pattern. Sometimes we use faces, especially in your case of a dice design, the rolling dice. We'll be using sometimes faces rather than the features. We might end up drawing out with the features, so we'll use the faces, existing faces. Okay. So in this case, with the pattern, I'll select the extrude cut. It will be shown here in the selection, but you also need to select the two. Okay. Once it is selected, it will be asking an edge. So you select an edge here in one direction, increase the direction. Increase the number of patterns, then keep increasing the distances. This is where patterns are at. You can also draw now to a new direction. Select a Y direction here. Once it is selected, say if we have added 2 patterns, so it will you can increase the direction, should be opposite, increase the distance here. So this is where a linear pattern in another direction is added. But if you don't want to select the pattern already created, this is a pattern on the top of a pattern, you can avoid that by pattern seed only. Okay, so in this case I have only one, because it is only imitating the seed, the initial seed. If you uncheck this one, it will imitate all the patterns which were drawn in YX direction. Okay, so as soon as I increase the number of patterns, it keep on adding. Once added, all you need is check yes, the slots will be done, fillets will be done. Simple as it is. Okay. Then we'll look into this circular pattern. In the circular pattern, we have a slot to do. Okay. So what is this? It's a cylindrical geometry, but it has got a simple flange here. Okay. So you have to find particular features by moving your mouse on your feature tree. See, this is a Boss extrude, which is a cylinder there, but this is my rectangle, but the fillets are drawn here for that. Okay, the top and the bottom fillets. So what you need is to initiate, if you want a couple of more flange, it looks like a filter or some sort of pneumatic or hydraulic adapter or something like that. So what you need is, if you want this flange to be drawn in the same like 3 of them in the 3 quarters, so what you need is basically circular pattern. Once you select a circular pattern, it will ask the axis around which it need to be patterned. Sometimes this axis is not given to you. You know, I showed you a number of times how to activate it. You can go here and activate your temporary axis, view temporary axis. Okay. In this case, it is already activated. If not, you have to go into your views and activate your temporary axis here. Okay. Or else you can add an axis by this temporary axis. If I want to add a new axis, all I go into my features, reference geometry, axis. All I need is a cylindrical or a conical face. I'll select the conical face like this and say yes. So once the cylindrical face is selected, it adds an axis. It's a new axis. Okay. So I can use this new axis to draw a pattern. Okay. So I'll go into pattern and select the new axis which has been drawn, axis 1, and features to pattern. In this case it's boss extrude 4, and I also want to pattern the fillets, fillet 1 and fillet 3. Okay. You can remove equal face spacings, you can adjust your angles, and also it is in 2 directions. When you do an identical along the symmetricity, the direction doesn't play quite important, but if you are doing it in lesser than 360 degrees, then it makes a sense. Yes.
If I want to edit just one of the new ones, can I?
Of course, you see that's again a different case. You need to go into these instances to skip. Once I activate my instances to skip, it comes with this pink dot. So if you don't want this one, I can edit this one. It's gone.
But if I want to edit the size, for example.
Size, of course. If you want to edit the size, you are only changing the seat. Say for example, if your fillet is changed, if you want to change a particular fillet, a particular flange, then you have to go into that. Okay. But here, this is a pattern. You can't individually edit these elements now, not anymore. You have to change the seed if you want to change the fillets on these edges. Okay. You can only skip instances. Okay, you can only skip instances. But there is but this one instances to vary. This is with the direction change. Say in this case, when you activate instances to vary, you are varying the distances and the axis, that's all, but not real the existing solid, because it's a pattern. Okay. All you are doing is a modification of the placement of these patterns, however, in your way, however you want. Okay, and it is giving you options. If you want instances to vary, instances to skip, and if you want to add new features. Okay, so that's a circular pattern. Then you can also do a mirror pattern. Okay. So in this case, when you want to mirror, you need a face, you need a plane. Again, go into your features. If you are in the sketch, your patterns won't be activated, but the sketch patterns will be active. Okay, so go into here, say mirror pattern. When you're doing a mirror pattern, you need to give some properties for that to be active. Again, mirror, face or plane. In this case, I'll select face here, or if there is a plane here for me, which I could use, but I don't have any plane here which will help me, but I'm using the face. Okay. So then features to mirror, I need to select everything now, all of them. As soon as I add everything, fillets, it cuts, chamfers, holes, and also the last fillet. So it keeps on adding it. The next one is your geometry patterns. Geometry patterns, what it is happening is that basically you are changing the geometry of the slots here basically. Okay. So in this case, if you go into your linear patterns and edit this particular pattern, and say for example, if you activate geometric pattern and propagate visual properties, say yes. Observe the difference. If I uncheck this one and say if I check this one and say yes, and if I go back to again my linear patterns, if I uncheck my geometry and propagate here and say yes. Sorry. So what is happening is that your slots offset is different. Your slot offset previously is now quite equal distance from this edge. If you don't want to do that, go into the edit features and check geometry pattern. So what it will do is it will identically imitate the same length irrespective of the offset from this edge. So in this case it is reflecting on the overall geometry. If you don't want to do that, you have to uncheck that. Okay. Very slight difference, but it's quite useful tool in this case. So the overall, when you try to measure it from this edge to this edge, all these three will be of the same length. Okay. Next, sketch-driven patterns. When a sketch-driven pattern is given, what you're doing is basically selecting a place and drawing a sketch. So in this case, I'll draw some points. So this is my sketch. Okay. So once drawn on the sketch, I'll go in features again, exit the sketch, sketch driven pattern, select the sketch 5 from the, it's a hole, standard hole. That hole I am trying to imitate now. Say yes, you got your hole. See, my sketch is again open. I want my sketch to be a fully defined sketch in this case. I am not putting any dimension now. I am using the system tool. How do I activate one? Go into tools, dimensions, activate your fully defined sketch. Activate this one. Once it is activated, it says selected entities are all the entities in the sketch. So in this case I got 4 points, so I have selected all of them. Okay, I can relate them by the baselines. Okay, but in the first instance I will say yes now. Sketch will be automatically defined. It gives me the dimensions. You are not doing anything, just click of your sketch becomes fully defined. But they are everywhere, right? They are everywhere, and the ordinance point here in this case is the origin. If you want to change that, we can always go back and we can always ordinance point. Go to your tool, all the entities. Now I'll select the base instead of the point or as an origin. I'll select for horizontal, for horizontal dimensioning, I'll select 0.6 point here. I'll also use the same. I'll say yes. Then later you can edit those dimensions. So I know all the points now. So what I am doing is the baseline, whatever the baseline point was there, as a default it will be the origin. I am changing it to make it a fully defined sketch. Okay. So the two things here, you have learned something new here, is how you can define a sketch fully defined by using the system inference. Whatever the system is, don't go blindly with whatever the system gives. Sometimes try to work it out, the dimensions it has given make sense or not. Okay, so once you are happy, then say yes with a fully defined sketch. Okay, And the other thing now you learned is how to insert the axis. Use the reference geometry, especially the axis. Go into reference geometry. See the reference geometry, whatever the reference geometry is there with the coordinate point and mates, or all will be one by one will be added in your lessons. Okay, as the importance reveals with the exercises, they have been shown to you. So in this case, if you want to add an axis or a cylindrical hole here, what you need is select the cylindrical surface. You can use 2-point vertex to one line or in this case I'll select next of the pattern lot is your table pattern and fill pattern. Okay. Given pattern, what you do is you can specifically give the dimension from the origin. So in this case, the origin is known. From 0, 0 on, we'll be adding new points. So it's a simple 2 by 2 matrix. It's a plane here, taking this as a plane, the distances by which you want to add your patterns. Okay. So in this case, select a point. Look for the origin point, which is actually here. Sorry, origin point is on. It's on the plane X and Y. Okay, so in this case, I say as fill on this coordinate point a particular feature, so not a plate features to copy. Sorry, this features is not a plate section. So you can add by creating new points, because it's a simple XY plane here. Standard linear, sorry, I copied standard linear. Okay. I can add two. System. White system here. this is how you can add a coordinate system in the selected, sorry, this is my Y, and in the end for Z this is the new one. Okay, I can change the direction. I think I can change the direction. That's much better. Now say yes, a coordinate system is added. So that's what it is asking for your table driven pattern. Coordinate system 1 is selected, features to copy the standard hole, then the distances X and Y, so its preview is automatically coming now. As soon as I make 10 here, the preview is coming. So say OK. So new hole. This particular hole is being drawn by a table driven pattern. For to draw a table driven pattern, it is asking you to create a coordinate system. The new coordinate system, you can create them by using a features reference geometry coordinate system. When you are creating a new coordinate system, it needs a origin point X, Y and Z. Okay. And the last one is the fill pattern. Fill pattern, it's quite in the sense you have a pattern seed somewhere here. Where is the pattern? I'll clear the selection, expand the hole, find the hole here, maybe this one here, selected feature. I'll select that hole, then I can have a square, circular for example. See here, this is how you can add fill pattern. When you're using a fill pattern, it uses the entire face and try to give you a random fill. Then again, you can go into your skip instances and skip some of them. Say for example, if you are drawing a layout with a landscape, say for example, it has got some trees in the garden, quite random, you can draw them by fill. Okay. If it is with a randomness, we can use a fill pattern. Okay. So that's all your patterns are, and you can start looking at your exercises. But before, if you want to start your exercises, do some case studies. They are always there in your lessons. Do your case studies, do whatever you want with your case studies, then go to start your exercises following the book. So I'll stop the lecture here.